Hello and welcome back to another episode of Stop Watering Dead Flowers with me, your host, Chris Forbes. A small disclaimer before this week's episode. If you are watching the episode, the camera that is filming myself completely cuts out towards the end. And to be honest, I think that's absolutely fine. The camera that is on our incredible guest, Jay Lafferty, continues to record, even if it's me that's talking. And to be fair, I think that's best for everyone involved. The other thing I want to mention is that our live podcast show at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival is now this Thursday. That's right, this Thursday, the 20th of August. We have a stellar lineup. Grace Mulvey, Sam Lake and Ayo Ideniken. It's going to be an incredible show. And what already promised to be a fairly special occasion looks like it will be even more so now, as the live podcast from the Fringe will be the last episode before we take a hiatus from the show. More about that to follow. In the meantime, please enjoy this show this week with the wonderful Jay Lafferty. This week's episode is brought to you by Derek Gerard Photography. Derek has been a professional for over 20 years and covers everything from weddings, corporate shoots, meet and greets and VIP events. He was also one of the club photographers at Dundee Football Club for 13 years. Derek will travel all over Scotland and beyond to capture your smiles, and as a wee thank you to listeners of this show, he'll give you a 20% discount when booking. All you have to do is get in touch via his Facebook page, Derek Gerard Photography, and mention the code CF26. Now, this could save you something like £300 from the cost of your wedding photography, for example. He's a great guy. He's photographed some of my shows in the past, some of the events I've done. I've met the guy. He's a legitimately brilliant photographer and a lovely gentleman, and we thank him very much for sponsoring the show. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Stop Watering Dead Flowers with me, your host Chris Forbes, in association with the Stand Comedy Club. Let's start this episode once again by plugging another live show at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. It's on Thursday the 20th of August at 6:05 p.m. Thank you to everyone that came along to the one in May. It was so much fun. Hopefully you'll come along again, bring more people, bring your own little Dead Flowers story. We're going to speak about them on stage with the panel of guests and myself included. That's 6:05 on the 20th of August, a Thursday night. What could be better? Hope to see you there. Welcome back to another episode. Stop watering dead flowers. I'm delighted to say this week in the garden we have a good friend of mine as well. Yay. And just top stand-up, Jay Lafferty. How are you, Jay?
I'm good. I'm delighted. I was all anxious there because you did a fantastic plug, but you didn't say where it was.
Oh, yeah. That's amazing.
I was like, yes, we'll all be somewhere on the 20th of August.
You got to figure it out. If you can find it, it'll be an even more special show. That's incredible. Wow. Yeah, it might be at the Stand Comedy Club.
Yay.
Who produced the show. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. My God. Maybe we should just record a separate announcement.
I like that. I thought that was good because I was like, I really want to go. Where is it?
Jay, as a way of introduction, and I've only got to say this a few times on the show, I always find it not harder, but more surreal when I've got someone on the show that I've known for basically the whole time we've been doing it, like 20 years, because then it's like I'm trying to talk to you professionally, like a podcaster, but it's weird because we've just been chatting before we started, and then it feels like, oh no, it's professional.
Pro modes. I know, we've been like, because I was listening to some of the episodes over the last few days, and when you said, you started stand-up in 2006 at Red Raw with Frankie Boyle, I was like, God, that's 20 years now. Chris has been doing it. I was like, well, that means that I've been doing it for 23 or 24 years now.
Mad.
When I think back on it, so it's wild.
Yeah.
How are we still in our 20s? I don't understand. We're amazing.
That's what I always still say to people, that I still feel like, I'm an up-and-comer. And you feel like you're still the whole bursting onto the scene. And you were just talking about hosting the So You Think You're Funny competitions, where it's like the new crop of people coming through. And I'm like, but I remember doing that, and I still feel like I'm coming through.
Yeah, hold on, we've not finished coming through yet.
But like Tom Stade said once about he was talking about Davy Johns. I was doing a 10-minute open spot at the Manchester Comedy Store, and I was like 3 or 4 years in, and he was like, "You're just at the start of the mountain." I can't do a Tom Stade voice. He was like, "I'm up here at the top of the mountain, and Davy Johns is already on the way down on the other side." And now I'm like, that felt so far away, and I don't believe that. Davy Johns is great, but I really feel like, God, we're already on the other side of a lot of the things.
Oh my God.
When you start out, there's so many exciting things.
Yeah, so many things you can
competitions,
do.
and you're a newcomer, which seems to stretch over about 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, exactly. I never did, so you think you're funny, because I actually abided by the rules, which nobody seems to do.
Oh boy.
Because you have to be going for less than a year. And I think by the time that I even knew that competition existed, do you know what I mean? Because I just wasn't plugged in. For the first couple of years of stand-up, I wasn't doing it regularly enough to be really plugged into it. So I'd been going for 2 or 3 years before I realised it was even a new competition. And by then I was like, no, but I probably could have done it because I had not had enough stage time.
Listen, I'll go you one better. I was so unplugged in that I thought that was the only stand-up thing you could do. So that was my very first gig. Because
your very first ever gig.
I didn't know about comedy clubs. I didn't know where clubs existed. I just saw stand-ups on the television and thought that was where stand-up happened. And then back in the day, obviously everyone read the newspaper, and there used to always be a "So You Think You're Funny" advert in the Daily Record.
Yeah.
And I applied via that, a newspaper article, and that was my first ever gig.
Wow.
Little did I know how naive I was being. There were people like, "Oh, I've been going for 2 years and I just don't tell them, and now I've entered." And tricky.
Yeah. And did you get through the heats?
I did get through the heats.
Well done on your very first gig.
What can I say?
So just
it went
you always
downhill
had
from
it.
there. Downhill from there. That was my best achievement. One gig wonder. But no, anyway, since then, certainly, I mean, you are one of the UK's kind of top comics. You're everywhere. You're always working. Like people always say that you're one of the hardest working comics as well, and just you're all over everything because you're so in demand.
Big mortgage.
It's wild, and stand-up's a funny thing because it feels like from stand-up as a base, it lends itself to diversifying into all sorts of different sorts of work and presenting or this, that, and the other in radio, and you've done a lot of different things altogether as well.
I've been really lucky. I've been really, just really lucky and had a lot of people give me opportunities to do nice things, which is great. I'm always very appreciative of it.
And before we delve into the format of the podcast, you've always done, as well as just working as a stand-up is great, but your fringe shows have always been pretty unique. And I just want to mention the pole dancing show in particular, because I feel like, like actors get lauded so much when they're like, oh, so-and-so lost 20 stone, or this guy learnt Spanish for the role. You learned how to pole dance.
I learned how to pole dance.
For a fringe show.
Yeah, for a fringe. So I had this idea that I would do this, that I would learn. Basically what it was is I wanted to do a move which was called the Pepsi Max.
Right.
Which was where you go, you fling yourself upside down, you spin around the pole, you do like a somersault, and you come out at the bottom on your feet. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to finish a fringe show doing that? And then, so I booked into pole dancing class, and within 10 minutes went, yeah, I'll not be finishing the show doing that. Because that obviously, for some reason, I just looked and went, that'll probably take about 4 or 5 lessons. Yeah. I still can't do that, and it's 4 years Max down the line.
Became like a diluting juice, maybe like a. Do you do like a diet?
Yeah,
lemonade
just like
move or.
I learned how to pole dance, and I've done some pole dancing competitions and stuff since then. And it was a lot of fun. Yeah. I haven't done a lot. I'm going to put my hands up because my fabulous pole dance instructor Dan will be listening, and he'll be like, "She's a lying cow. She's not been in the studio for months." So I haven't been in the studio for months because I've been life has taken over, and now because I don't have to do it, because I did the tour, it was like I did the show, so it was like a year in prep, then 2 years basically doing the show.
Yeah.
for the Fringe, and then touring it, and then like I did a reprise at the next year's Fringe, and then I did a documentary where I was learning how to do like actually competitive pole. So I then filmed a documentary doing that, and that finished last year, just towards the tail end of last year, and so I haven't done anything since then because I was just like, oh thank God. So I need to get back because my core is gone all wobbly.
Core, just even when I see even just holding up, and even for the photo shoot and stuff, I think how do people do that? And see when you mentioned doing a tour of it, do you have to? Is this a daft question? Do you have to have your own pole?
Yes, I had to have my own pole.
Venues aren't going to be like.
Yes, I am I have intimate knowledge of every comedy club in the UK's roof height, right? The floor to ceiling height. You ask me any comedy club. Like, and I'll tell you if you can get a 7 foot or 8 foot pole. And so I had what's known as a stage pole, and it came in 2 different sizes. So I would have to know how big it was. I once had to do on half a pole because I'd brought the wrong size. That show didn't. The audience really went with it because I was like doing it on a half a pole. It came up to like my boob. And I was just like, we'll just try and go around this.
Just doing like maple dancing instead.
Yeah, it was more like maple dancing.
Amazing. All right. Delving into this show, when you listened to maybe some of the episodes to get an idea and you read what it was about, initially, what was your reaction to thinking, oh, right, I've got lots of these little things in my mind?
Just like, why am I going on a podcast and sharing these things? I don't come off well in any of these things. Like,
it's horrible that you do feel, for some reason, more inclined to share stuff that you wouldn't normally when you're on someone's show. It's bizarre.
Well, you feel like you have to bring the goods.
Yeah.
And, I have many, but a lot of them I haven't thought about because I've tried to like lock them in a deep dark little cellar inside of myself, like we were taught in the 80s. Do you know? Push it down. So I've spent the last like week or so unlocking some horrid memories and then going bleh, bleh.
Yes.
Like giving myself the actual heave.
This is perfect. We'll let them out, we'll let them go, and we'll all feel better for it. Traditionally, we always start with the childhood one. I can imagine maybe a few pop out when you really start to concentrate on childhood. But was there one in particular that reared its ugly head?
Well, it's a kind of amalgamation of experiences all around my brother. Right. So I have a little brother, Shaw, who's about to turn 40, so not so little anymore.
Shout out Shaw. Happy birthday when it comes.
Happy birthday. And I've adored my brother from like, I really wanted a little brother. Right. And when my mum and dad came home from the hospital and stuff, I was fair delighted. And my mum used to call me the clucking hen because I wouldn't leave him alone. Like I was just like behind him all the time, just like making sure that he was happy. And, I was fiercely protective over my brother, like fiercely protective. And I just love him, and I still do, obviously, love him very much. But
I really feel like this is all a precursor to something horrendous.
Yeah, but and the more I was thinking about this, I'm like, oh, am I some sort of Damien child? So my brother had this thing for years around his birthday where he ended up in casualty. Okay, and I was always there.
Wow.
So one of the times he was crushing rocks with a gate, like the bit that goes into the hole in the school gates, right? That keeps the gate closed, like the thing. The bolt thing, yeah. So he was in primary 1, so I would have been in primary 5, I think. And he was like, he was putting rocks underneath it, and then he was like smashing it down. And I had just gone over to be like, don't do that. And as I was saying, don't do that, I distracted him and he smashed his fingers. Oh. And he got 2 big blood blisters and he had to go up to casualty. That was like the day before his birthday. Oh. Another time, the day before his birthday, he was having a football party, and my mum was trying to get the house ready. Now, this would never happen now because you've got kids, But back in the day, it was perfectly reasonable to send like an 8-year-old with a 4-year-old, a mile down the road to the park, crossing 2 main roads. So she told me to take him to the park. I took him to the park, and not parks like you get now, an 80s park with concrete and spikes, you know. And I was pushing him on the roundabout, and he fell backwards and cracked his head open, and ended up in hospital overnight. Never cancelled the party the next day. Still had it. My mum had bought the food in. She got the sandwiches. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So we still had it. He can't remember it.
You had a great time, but
So there's that. And then the worst time, and this is the time that gives me the. So and my brother has still brings this up regularly. I think he was maybe about. I don't think he was in school, so I think he was like 4 years old. And we went for a walk. It was really sunny days. My brother's birthday's in June. And we went for a walk with the family to the rocks at Ashton, right, which is what we called them where I grew up. And we're walking along the rocks at Ashton. And it's all boulders, right, going down onto a beach. And I jumped down because I'm 4 years older than him. So I jumped down. And I'm running around and playing and stuff. And he's only little. So he's shouting for me to get him down. Yeah. And my mum and dad are just walking along the front. And they're, just being 80s parents, paying absolutely no attention to what's going on in front of them. And I said, just jump. I'll catch you. And it was probably... I don't know. It was probably about a 3-foot jump, right? But I'm probably only about 3 foot.
Yeah.
No, it must have been bigger than that because he was up higher than me, so maybe like a 4-foot jump, and I'm like 3 foot. So he just, because I was his big sister, and why would he not trust me?
Of course.
And he jumped, and I still remember to this day as his feet left and he started to hurtle towards me, and I had like my arms up and my arms out to catch him, and I remember looking and going, nah, and like I just stepped back, and my brother smashed full force face off the rocks, broke his nose, but she still was like, it's never been right since. He's broken his nose quite a few times since then because he was in karate. And smashed his face, burst all of his lip. And then his birthday was the next day. So all of these, every single picture for like the first however many years of my brother's life, all of his birthday pictures, he has like a bandage or like concussion or like a broken nose, no front teeth. And I still because I can still viscerally, I'm 44, right? So this is like, 30 odd years ago, 38 years ago or something. And I still can picture his face as he like
the happiness
just jumped towards me, and I just went, whoa, I just literally just went no, because I just suddenly realised I'm not going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
So, but instead of trying, instead of throwing myself, even taking one for the team, I just let a small child smash his face off the rocks. It's awful. I mean, it's a terrible story.
But it's quite a nice kind of example of an 80s childhood thing where stuff like that happened all the time.
Yeah.
I can even imagine your parents just being like, come on, get up, Shaw. We'll check you when we're back home.
I probably did. He probably did. Yeah. I had a broken arm for quite a few days before they bothered taking me to the hospital.
To my sister-in-law. They just kept going, just have a bath. My mum used to always just say, have a bath.
Yeah, have a bath. Bath of TCP if you had like cuts on you as well. I might get put in a bath of TCP.
Do you know, as another aside, what make 80s childhoods and things that we used to do to entertain ourselves, when you mentioned about smashing rocks with just a bit of the fence, one of the times, I've got an older brother, and one of the many times he hurt me when we were growing up was we both just had a big rock each and a hammer. Like,
what could go wrong?
My mum was just like, we each had a hammer. His was like a mallet, a steel mallet, and mine was a hammer, and we were just like battering each other rocks. It's horrendous. We lived in Lochgilphead. There's just nothing to do, like batting. And for some reason, I was like, oh, I want a shot of your rock. It just looked like it had better bits to hit.
Yeah.
And when I went over to get it,
Oh no.
he came right down on my thumb. It was awful. It was really bad.
It does, like, we did do things like that though as well. And like, you would just get taken to work.
Yeah. Oh,
do you
yeah.
remember that?
That was
Oh,
big.
just go to work with your dad. My dad was an electrician. Do you know what I mean? What a place to put a child, just walking up. He would just be walking about work sites, like with a wee yellow hat on, or the guy's like, all right, hen, you know, and just like my dad be like, here, going to take this conduit and go under that floorboard. Do you know what I mean? You were 6 years old, you're like dragging conduit under a floorboard, you know, just wild stuff. Wild stuff. We had this thing, and people don't believe me about this, but where I grew up, was a postman, right? And I want to preface this with, like, he was lovely. He was really nice. And he used to just, when it was conker picking time, he would come, would open the back of the post van, and all the Waynes, there was like 14 of us all grew up. We'd all just get in the back of the post van, and then he would take us up the woods to go conker picking and then bring us all back. Do you know, it's just, and it was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
Now
But
it sounds like the start of a BBC
yeah, no,
documentary.
it's terrible, but you're just going like, that was it. That was just, because it was a much, do you know, it was a much simpler time.
Yeah.
You know, it was just, yeah. We just did stuff, and like, you know, and your best friend's like parents would batter you. Do you know, that was just done.
Yeah.
You know, such and such's dad hit me a whack. Well, you must have deserved it. Like, just wild.
Good times.
Good times.
Good times.
We're all right.
We're not affected. Wow, you wonder why we do stand up.
I know.
Going back to the actual incident, I should just ask as well, in the immediate aftermath of him then crashing onto the rocks, how soon did it take you to kind of go,
I knew
I've made a
instantly.
mistake here, this is...
Instantly, as he was flying towards me with his wee, I can still see it. I mean, I can close my eyes and see it so clearly. His wee happy, he had a wee beautiful wee pudgy face with big brown eyes.
You're like, you used to have beautiful teeth.
Yeah, beautiful teeth, lovely little nose.
used to be a wee button nose.
I know, I knew instantly, and I knew it was going to be bad.
Did they have to take him to A&E or a
Oh,
doctor?
He had to have his nose reset. Like, I mean, it was horrendous. Like, it wasn't just. I couldn't even look. I remember not being able to look. I remember just he was crying, I was crying, my mum was crying, and my dad was just like, just wanted to go for a walk, just wanted to get out the house for 10 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Like, my dad worked all the hours that God sent at that time. I remember he was trying to start a business up, and you know, he was just. And he was obviously, it was like his Saturday, and he was just thinking, I just wanted to go
One
along.
easy day.
They were probably going on our way for him to have a pint and along the road or something like that, and he was probably just like, oh my God, just wild. And I remember sitting in A&E and obviously because he was concussed. He had to, I can't remember, he was unconscious anyway, he was sleeping and all of us are sitting around the bed, and the whole thing was whether he was going to if he could wake up and have a bit of tea and toast and keep it down, then he would be allowed out.
Right.
And obviously, like, it's another way that parenting has changed, because I remember us all being like, hopefully he'll wake up and he'll get his tea and toast, and then we'll all get home and it'll all be fine for his birthday in the morning, and that'll all be fine. Whereas like now, I think you'd be like, I hope he doesn't keep this tea and toast down, so they keep him in overnight and keep him observation, you know, like.
We're much more anxious
We're
as
so
parents.
more cautious and anxious now, whereas like back in the day we're like, I hope we get home in time for watching Casualty. Get out of Casualty so we can go and watch Casualty.
Well, that's a wild one. That's a pretty strong start. And I can certainly imagine, the image of him just floating through the air angelically before crashing to his doom would haunt
so
you.
Bad. It does haunt me. I feel so bad.
You. But always with the childhood ones, you know, it's always nice to say, we were children.
We were kids.
So you didn't even know what was happening. You can understand the repercussions. You've always got to be the kindest to your younger self, because there's a lot of trauma there, isn't there? Really, a lot of trauma there. Kill winning. So a strong start, but I feel like you're. I mean, certainly on this show, you're forgiven, and I think Shaw. Hopefully, you're forgiven.
No, he's not. I literally know he's not. It'll come up again in the next call. Every time we've had a drink, he's like, "Mind you, let me smash my face open on the rocks at Ashton."
You know, well, he should be pleased. You've given the whole family a bit of lore that you can talk about and joke about. You know, it's become one of the great family stories.
Oh God.
Let's move on from childhood then. We'll go towards career stuff now. Were you someone that had a lot of different jobs before kind of comedy became the thing, or were you someone that was quite fortunate and lucky to get things started early on?
A bit of both. I've worked since I was 13.
Wow.
So I've always worked. I worked. I had a paper run. I worked in the local spar.
Shout out to Spars, man. You don't see them
Spars. I know
often.
you don't see a spar anymore. So I used to work. I used to get up. I mean, my mum, my poor mum, she used to have to because I would never get up because I was 13, right? So she would have to wake me up at 6 a.m. I had to be there to I opened the shop. Can you imagine that? Like a 13-year-old with the keys to a shop full of booze and cigarettes. I used to open the shop to let the papers, for the papers to get delivered. So I'd have to be up at 5 or 6 a.m. for all the papers for the shop opening at 7. So I did that, and then I worked in a coffee shop. I cleaned plates in a coffee shop on a Saturday, and that gave me the actual bulk because I had to, it did fried breakfast and stuff. I still have a thing about trying to get egg off plates.
I'm egg yolk.
So I did that. I worked my way up to the till.
Hello.
Worked on the till there. What else did I do? I worked in a game shop. It was like a game.
Like a board game shop? Or
like a computer game shop. Game. Right, it was like a game. It wasn't game. It was Greenock's version of game.
Right.
And we used to do trade-ins. So you used to bring your old games in and trade them in for other games. And I always remember. There was a game called Worms.
Oh yeah, Worms is great.
It was a great game, but our favourite thing would be if somebody came in, and it would quite often because it would be mammies coming in, doing the swaps for their kids, and she's like, "Hey, my son's get Worms." Well, that's unfortunate. Joke. So I worked in a game shop. What else did I do? I worked in a sports division, although I only lasted 3 weeks and I got fired.
You still got a big mug?
Still a bit big. It was probably my mum and dad's.
What did you get fired for from a sports division?
That's not a fun story.
You didn't just have a JD trackie on?
No. The worst thing about that was that they put me, so there was a cupboard, right? Quite a big cupboard, right? Probably about half the size of the room that we're in at the moment, right? So quite large, and it was filled from floor to ceiling with coat hangers. Right? Just all tangled up coat hangers. And the light didn't work in the cupboard. And one of my jobs was I was to sit in this cupboard in the dark, basically with the door propped open at the back of a storeroom and detangle all of the coat hangers.
Come on.
Yeah, that was wild. I hated that job. As I say, it was supposed to be a Christmas job and I didn't even last. I didn't even make it to Christmas week. I started in the first week of December and I was fired by just before the 23rd or something.
Oh, wow.
So I did that. And then I went to work in jewellery stores. I got all my jet exams.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm actually a qualified diamond specialist.
Right? You could
yeah,
be looking
I got
in
my
and what's
jet
the
4 exams.
What's the only thing I can remember from if you ever do the kind of going to buy an engagement ring thing for people, and the woman that was helping me in the shop I went to was talking about is it the 3 C's or the 4 C's?
Colour, cut and clarity.
That was it. That was the one thing I feel like. So that's the one thing I would think of now. I don't know anything else. But
colour, cut and clarity. So I did that, yeah. And I worked with watches as well. I specialised in Swiss watches.
I never knew this stuff about you.
Yeah.
I love doing this, finding out stuff about people I've known for 20 years.
Yeah. So I worked in jewellery stores and I always worked in the arts anyway, so I always did drama. I went to drama school and then I taught the little kids. So when I was in big drama school, I went and helped out and taught in the little drama school, and I used to do all the play schemes. I used to do summer schools, did all the summer school stuff. And then once I had my degree, I specialised in working with children with autism.
That's right.
Yeah, and so that's what I did, and in between time started doing stand-up
Yeah.
comedy.
Because I remember you used to do comedy workshops. I'm sure I did one of
Yeah.
them for your company
Yeah.
as well, and it was great that you just had so many different things going on. But then comedy came around, and it's kind of overtaken everything.
Yeah.
So when you were thinking of a career story, is it safe to assume it came from your work in comedy?
No.
Oh well,
Well, I was trying to
you're
think
like,
of
it's in
stuff.
that cupboard of hangers.
Yeah, I was trying to think of things within comedy that give me the cringe, and it's not like that there isn't any. There are, but I think I was always very serious about comedy. Do you know? I was and very cautious about not.
Aye.
Not that I've never made a mistake, because I definitely have, but yeah, I the one that came to mind, and this is awful. I don't even know whether to tell this story or not, because it makes me look so bad.
Oh, please do. And do you know what was great? The Underground just passed under there, and you were like, it's so awful. And I felt that, like just before Al Pacino shoots the guy in Godfather, and it's building up the tension.
It's so bad, Chris. It's so bad. Okay, because I think there's this weird thing, and I don't know if this is like a female thing or if you felt this as well, where I've worked in the arts, so I did all those jobs that I've just described there. They're all like my normal people jobs,
Yeah.
you know. And then basically from leaving school and getting my degree, going to drama school, and then doing my community arts degree. All the other jobs I've ever had have been within the arts world.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I worked for Scottish Autism, but I was like their drama and art therapy person. Like I worked in that sort of field. And then I worked for a company called Impact Arts for years and years and years, worked for them for over a decade. And again, all arty people from arts backgrounds, and I worked for the Mela, which again's, big festival arts. So you were always, I think, and within comedy, you're surrounded by like-minded people.
Yep.
And so I've been really lucky, because I'm been surrounded by other people who have the same loves and interests as I do and are very arty. What I felt was, like, when I worked in normal jobs, when I worked in the corner shop, when I worked in the cafe, when I worked in jewellery stores, and I worked in about 4 or 5 different big companies. I was with people who don't get us, don't get arty people at all, or creatives, and don't get the way our mind works. And a lot of people didn't like me.
I find that very hard to believe. Come on.
Well, so did I.
Come on now.
But I suddenly realised, like, I was in. So I went to work in this jewellery store, and I was at university at the time doing a drama degree, and spending all day being a show-off with other show-offs.
Right.
So it's fine, right? And everything's fine, and you get on with everybody, and everybody's having a laugh, and we're all fame kids, and it's grand. And then I would go and work in a jewellery store in Braehead, which was a huge mall that hadn't long opened. It had only been, it was the first sort of like proper mall that we ever had. Like it was
Big
like
time.
an American mall.
Felt very exciting.
And it was very exciting. And I worked there in the jewellery store, and I'd come from another jewellery store. So I'd come with like my Jet 1 exam and stuff. Like I had like a little bit of a holding. And it was quite an upmarket jewellery store. Mm-hmm. And there was like a dress code. So there was you were to be quite smartly dressed. Women were to wear heels.
Right.
You had to wear heels even though you were doing 12-hour shifts at times, particularly at Christmas and that, you had to wear high heels. The men didn't have to wear high heels, but we did.
As it should be.
You had to wear a suit or a suit trousers or skirt, full suit, whole thing in this jewellery store. And my mum bought me a bright red suit. Right, which I loved, right? So because why would I not love it? So I had this like bright red suit. Everybody else's suits were like black and grey. So first of all, I had this bright red suit. I had this long. I think at the time I was dyeing my hair, so it was like peroxide blonde, like white blonde, long hair, and you had to wear your hair up. So you either had to wear your hair in a high ponytail or a bun.
Yeah.
And you were to wear like minimal makeup, but be done up, and it was quite glam, right? You were to look quite glam. So I had this red suit, and I had and I was kind of known as a girl with a red suit, you know.
Yeah.
And then my mum also bought me then a purple suit because, like, if I
Wow.
was working a couple of shifts during the week, she was like, "I'll get
Mix
you
it
another
up.
suit, mix it up." So
Can
I
I,
had
just, can I just say this? I have no idea where this story's going to go here. Like, I'm so intrigued by the build-up.
Well, I'm just making it, you know, like, I understand now when I look back on it, I was this precocious 19-year-old who wore a bright red suit to their work, you know, and trotted about on big high heels. And, you know, generally I was very hateable. But I didn't know. I didn't realise. It wasn't really like I wasn't doing anything hateable, right? I wasn't nasty to anybody. I was like polite.
Yeah. People just seem to have an ingrained sense of disdain for people in the arts, so that say they do drama.
Yeah.
Especially in Scotland. I think it's because they're like,
Scotland,
why are you so confident? Like, why are you happy to perform?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a shame.
The thing was, I knew one of the guys who was the manager, and he's still a friend of mine. I won't mention his name, but he's still a good friend. I'd kind of grown up. He was a couple of years older than me, but I'd grown up with people that knew him, and he knew me, and so we were kind of pally. And he was one of he was the night manager, so he did from 5 until 9 at night, the close, which is generally the shift I would be on. And he had a bit of a thing for me as well, right? Which I was quite aware of. And, you know, so I would take the piss, as 19-year-olds do.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was this other girl, and she fucking hated me, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, hated me.
She's there in her black and grey
Yeah,
suits.
she was. Her name was Stacey.
Just like her personality.
I'm sure she was a lovely girl, do you know? Like, she was a couple of years older than me, so she would have been like in her, like, early 20s. I was 19. Right. She'd have been in her early 20s. And she absolutely despised me. And there was a bit of a thing where it's sales, right? So they pitched us against each other anyway, right? So we all had sales targets, and you also got prizes. So there were certain, you know, if you sold for like a lot of a particular brand, you would get, you know, you would get like a free watch, you would get jewellery, or, you know, and then there was like a competition, there was like a big board but in the, I was going to say green room, what do they call it in normal life?
Staff room.
Staff room, yeah. It's like, what do you call that again? There was a big board in the staff room, and it would have everybody's names up and like points and stuff, and the person with the most points at the end of the month would get like an extra day's holiday, or like pick a shift. You know what I mean? Like,
proper good competition, that.
Yeah, like properly competitive. So you could win stuff. And I mean, this is the early noughties, right? So, you know, the financial crash hadn't happened. Like, and I was also good at my job as well. So I was good at selling, because I was good at talking shite, right? And so I was doing quite well, and she was also doing quite well. So there was also a bit of like competition, us being pitched against each other, which suited the managers. And again, when you're older and you look back, you kind of go, they were purposely pitching me and this other girl against each other.
Like, in my mind, just for me understanding as well, a football analogy, when they bring in another top quality striker, competition for that place, who's going to start? They both have to raise their game.
Yeah, it was this thing, and it was her full-time job, right? So she was there all the time. I was only part-time because I was at university, right? So she just hated me. Yeah. She fucking hated me. And I remember like saying to my mum, oh, she really hates me. And my mum would be like, just jealous, Hen, she's just jealous. And she'd be like, well, try and be nice to her. And I would try and be nice to her. She wouldn't speak to me. Do you know, like if I tried to start a conversation with her, she would just ignore me. And we used to have these, because you had all the windows were locked and all the chest of drawers, you know, like where all the glass cases. So you would have this big bunch of keys on you, like at all times, with all the locks on them. And I used to play with it all the time, right? So I just, like absent-mindedly, I would jingle it. Away. And this would drive her fucking nuts, right? And she got it into her mind that I was doing this to annoy her. Now, I want to say I wasn't. I don't think I was. I think I was absent-mindedly doing it. But she had made me aware of how much it annoyed her, and I didn't seem to stop. So I don't know. It's quite a long time ago now. We're over 20 years. So I'd like to think I wasn't doing it to piss her off. Anyway, there's one day it was late at night. It was like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. It was at Christmas time. So we were open till 11, or we were open till 10, but you know, your shift didn't finish till 11 by the time you tidied up and all that. she'd gone off on our break to have her dinner, and I was coming in and out of the back. I was getting stuff, I was selling stuff, I was on the floor. And I had been standing, I'd been holding the door open for somebody else, and I had been jingling the keys, right? And she was sitting in the staff room on our break, and she just lost her shit,
like
right?
A red rag to the bull.
She just she exploded. She started screaming at me in the back room, right? And I was kind of like, what the fuck? And she just went off on one, and I was like, right, okay. So I just went back out. But obviously, like, customers and all that heard her. Like, she fucking lost it. She was screaming and bawling at me. So I just came back out, and I was a bit shaking and stuff. And this guy that I knew, he was like, you all right? And I was like, oh, she's just fucking going off on me. And he's like, well, what were you doing? I was like, well, she's standing holding the door open for like another member of staff, and she just went off on me. I never mentioned about the key jingling. And he was like, right. He's like, so then he went back, and she had a go at him, right? And she was like, you just fucking fancy her. And I'm like, oh, this sort of stuff. And I was like, oh God, this is wild. Anyway, she then came out, and she was just being horrible to me. Like, she was just being aggressive, right?
Yeah,
like openly aggressive on the shop floor. So I went back. Now this is like just my Greenock upbringing. Like, this is the bit that makes me fucking dead. I'm like, I don't know if I can tell this story. So I came out from having my break, and as she was coming, I was leaving to like go back out onto the shop floor. She was coming back into the shop floor, and she shoulder checked me, right? And she pushed me right into the wall. And she had long blonde hair as well, and of course we had to wear these big high ponytails. And she shoulder checked me, and it was just, I was like, nah, like, I'm not having this, right? And I just whipped round, and I grabbed her by her hair. Fucking, like, I fucking whipped her down onto the floor. I grabbed her ponytail, and I just fucking woof and pulled her ponytail and whipped her down onto the floor. And then kept on with my day.
Oh, wow.
Just walked out, and I had a tray of rings in one hand. But she'd like shoulder checked me. I'd fallen against the wall, and I just went woof and put her down the floor.
And she didn't react again then?
Well, she was on the floor. So, the door shut behind me. And this other guy that worked with us, he seen it, and he was like, oh. So anyway, I hurt her. I basically gave her whiplash. Like,
you're like, I've still got the ponytail. I've got it like a trophy on my wall.
It's just the fact that, and to this day, the person that like I was serving must have seen me do it. Because the door just opened. I'm coming out with rings. She shoulder checks me. I fall into the wall. Fucking pull her down onto the ground and walk out.
The customer's like, I'll buy all of them. I'll anything you like.
Continue serving them. Anyway, the next day, the manager, Stephen, he pulled us in, and we get absolutely... Wow. I mean, I thought I was going to get sacked. Yeah. And in this day and age, I would have get sacked.
I'm kind of amazed you went.
Yeah, no, I wasn't sacked. And we were just basically both read our rights. Yeah. Like, we were both... There was no video footage. I mean, this day and age, there'd be video footage of it and all the rest of it. There'd be CCTV, but there was no CCTV or anything. Neither one of us wanted to lose our jobs. So
it'd obviously been simmering just for so long.
This had been going on for months and months. And I'd never, like, I think we were then never put on shift together again, because I don't ever remember there being like anything else after that. So I think basically we just, poor Stephen had to, whenever he was doing the rota, just not rota us on together.
They must have been so aware that there was a bit competitiveness there at the very least, but as you said, it maybe worked well for them, and then they went, all right, we have to separate them now. We have
to separate them now, because one of them took the other one to the floor with a pony pull.
Do you know what's mad? I mean, it's not as bad, thankfully, but whenever it was, a couple of days ago when I was driving through to Edinburgh, I had a podcast on about two people that worked in Lululemon in Washington DC.
Yeah.
And they had a big fallout of their work, but she killed her.
Oh, God.
She killed her. Yeah, it's a pretty horrible story.
Yeah, that sounds
But
grim.
the way that was building up there, I was like, oh, wait a minute, maybe we've caught her.
We're going to get a confession. No. And do you know what? Like,
but good for you as well, you have to stand up for yourself eventually. I mean, that was how funny that you probably shocked yourself for how you just reacted.
I mean, I've always, I was bullied at school.
Aye.
And a lot of that was because I couldn't keep my mouth shut. And so I thought, I'd been in fights. I was never like, I'm always amazed when you speak to adults, that I've never been in a fight, that I've never, because like I kind of grew up scrapping, and getting into fights and sticking up with my brother and all that as well, like battering people who try to batter him.
No one smashes his face in apart from me.
Yeah, if he's going to break his nose, I'll be the one breaking it. So I'd always had, I would never back down from a fight. And I used to have I've never started a fight, but I've finished a few. All this sort of shite.
Well, that's what happened there, for sure.
Do you know what? I had not thought of that. I was desperately trying to think of things to tell you. And I was going, and it was on the car on the way through, and I went, oh, don't tell that. That's a dreadful story, because you come off awful.
But no, because you know what I think is, if and maybe Stacey is a lovely person, and
I'm
it's
sure
just the
she is.
environment, and it was great. But it sounds like she was probably just jealous and getting annoyed, and the kind of slightly younger person that's doing the part-time. I don't think she's thought about it in the same way. It strikes me that if she was here, she wouldn't be like, yeah, I really feel sorry that I shoulder bars that person. But you're like, I feel dreadful that it built to the point where I pulled this woman to the floor by her ponytail. So at least you've been holding on to it in a way that goes, oh no. And you're like, I feel like I come across bad.
Oh, I come across so bad. Because I can see it again, like, and because she'd momentum of going through the door and having just shoulder checked me, and I just go, woof.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure if you were watching her legs went right up.
Do you know what it also reminds me of? Not that there's not a direct comparative story, but in terms of, I had a seasonal job in Dixon's, long live Dixon's, whenever they went out of business, I don't know. And again, it was a seasonal, so I was part-time there over a Christmas season. And initially I was just in the game section, which was about all I knew about, was selling PlayStation games and stuff. But one day someone was either not there yet for work or had taken a break, and someone said, could I jump in behind the T-bar, which was the middle section that sold like the really expensive cameras and the bits of kit that were like you needed to know stuff about.
Yeah.
And I just thought, hopefully I'm just here for 10 minutes and just be like nodding at people. But someone started to ask me about this big camera, and I was just like, yeah, I think it's good. And I was just reading out the specs on the cards, and he was like, to tell you the truth, I already know I want this one. I've already researched it. And I was like, I think I have to ask you about insurance and all the... Anyway, I showed him this camera in the short 10-15 minute stint that I was there. And when this guy, Tom, let's just name and shame him as well, when he came back, he was furious. And he went through me because it's probably a similar thing. He was a full-time member of staff, and he did get commission for selling stuff. And he was like, you should never sell anything from the T-bar. Never sell anything. What do you think you're doing? And I was like, I'm just a wee guy here. I just wanted to be selling Grand Theft Auto, mate. I don't. He just asked me for the camera, but it was awful. Like the sales, the competitive world.
Competitive world of sales. I don't think I would ever go back, no matter how.
I tell you what, just as well, Tom didn't have a ponytail, because I'd have done something. Tom.
Oh, poor Stacey. I hope she's still out there living her best life.
Yeah.
And whenever she hears jangling keys, she thinks of me.
I was looking for my car keys there at the end to just be like, Stacey. Gia's she's wearing red today, and you're
I am wearing red as well. Oh no, God.
That's a great story though, because that's a proper story. Like there's other people involved that you're like, oh, do they still think about it? I did this thing. You're feeling guilt.
I know, it's wild.
Perfect for this. All right, so far you've smashed your brother's face in, you've assaulted a co-worker. Let's see.
I told you I do not come across well in any of these stories. They're awful. I feel like I've tried for the last definitely 20 years to be a really good person, and now I'm just going, but see, before I was a pure horror.
No, but you feel bad about it. The only time people I think have come across bad, even when they're not bad people, the only time people have come across badly on here are when they've went, no, I don't really have many of these. Like,
I've got so many.
They just don't regret anything. They're just sociopaths.
No regrets.
Let's go for your relationship one now as well.
No.
Let's just get square.
Right, so you can hear the story of When I Met Dodgy from the 90s, the band.
Oh, nice.
Or you can hear about the two brothers.
I mean, they're both good, but because
Oh, you can hear them both.
I feel
if you
like
want.
Sean's laughing because he knows about the Two Brothers song, but as someone that grew up thinking, knowing about Dodgy, I really want to hear the Dodgy story.
Oh, okay. So Dodgy were coming with some other bands as well. I think maybe Shed 7 and
Shit.
it was a couple of bands. They were coming to play Greenock where I grew up, and they were playing the Battery Park.
Right.
And this was around the time the guy who discovered Oasis was from Greenock.
Right.
And it was that kind of like boom time of very indie 90s, 96, 97. Really, Scotland were kind of leading the pack, particularly in the West Coast with all this indie stuff. And this guy, I can't remember his name now, is it Alan something or other, who discovered Oasis. Didn't make any money from them discovering Oasis, but it was him that had them in King Tut's and all the rest of it. So he organised this big summer festival show thing in my hometown, in the Battery Park, with all these like indie bands, and I really wanted to go, but I hadn't got a ticket, and this was like the days where you would queue up for a ticket or whatever. So I can't remember why I can't remember the ins and outs of why I never got a ticket. I probably just like, I didn't have pals that were going or whatever, but I really, really wanted to go. And my friend's sister was dating a guy who was the lead singer in one of the bands, one of the support bands, because there was a lot of like local Greenock bands playing. And they were called Whiteout, right? They had a big hit in the 90s called Jackie's Racing.
I'm going to listen to it on the way home.
Which is a really good song actually. And they were from my hometown. And my friend Elisa, her sister, went out with the lead singer. And so Elisa was going, we were only like 14, 15. And I hadn't got tickets. And I was kind of sort of seeing this boy from Port Glasgow, which is like, for people who don't know, the Inverclyde surrounding areas.
Fairport.
That's the kind of town. It was 2 over from the town I grew up in. And it's a bit wilder, like the Port. But I was seeing this boy from the Port kind of off and on, not seriously, the way that you're kind of, you snog them when you see them, but, and we didn't have mobile phones, there was no way of like meeting up with each other, just if you ended up at the same party or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was a wee bit older than me, he was a couple of years older, and I just thought he was beautiful, just thought it was great. So I knew that he was going, and I just really, really wanted to go. Anyway, I found out that this boy in my school had 2 tickets. And I knew also that he had a wee crush on me. So we were like, I think we were 15. We might have been 14, but like I just kind of... So I basically manipulated the situation and got him to take me.
Wow.
Right? And
put on your red suit.
I put on my red suit, yeah. Oh God, that just sounds so awful, right? And it wasn't I wasn't. It wasn't on a promise, or but like I knew what I was doing. Do you know what I mean? Like I just kind of was like, oh, I would really like to go to that, and he's like, well, I've got another ticket, and I'm like, oh, that'd be really nice. Like I was like, oh, I'll give you the money for it, and I think it was like £12 or something the ticket. And anyway, we get the ticket, so he gives me the ticket, and I meet him before, and we got a bottle of White Lightning, and we're sitting on the beach drinking a bottle of White Lightning, and my mum had dropped me off. She was going to pick me up after the show, and the show was probably coming out at like 10 o'clock or whatever, and this is like 5 o'clock we've met. I mean, I don't even think the doors open till 7 or whatever, so we'd be sitting on the beach drinking the White Lightning, and then we went into the actual like the fenced off bit where it was going to be happening, and there was a beer tent which was separately fenced off. So you could be, I think you were supposed to be even 16 to go, but anyway, we get in, we've got the tickets, we get through, and as soon as we get in, I basically see this other boy and all his pals. And I'm like, but they were in the drinking bit because they were a little bit older. Again, not old enough to drink, but they'd managed to get in because it was the 90s, right? Nobody gave a shit. But the boy that I'd come with was like a 15-year-old boy who looked like
Really?
a 12-year-old boy. So I knew that he wouldn't be able to get into the drinking bit, and I just went in anyway and just left him, like, basically standing outside.
And
terrible.
And you've never seen him ever again.
If only. No, I've seen him loads, and he's still never forgiven me for it either. I then had to go through another 4 years of school, or 3 years of school with him.
And did you see it, like, did you just then spend the rest of the kind of gig with it?
Oh no, it gets worse, Chris. This story's not finished.
I thought that was bad enough.
No, it gets much worse, much worse, much worse. Right? If anything, I did get my comeuppance, like straight away. Like karma got me.
Right.
Karma came for me hard.
Okay.
So I went in. We'd split this like bottle of White Lightning between us. So I'd already been drinking, and then I get into like the bit where the bar is, and they're all drinking beers and stuff, and I've never really, I mean, beer's not really a thing you drink as a kid, do you know what I mean? Like, so I was chugging beer, and then, so by this point, and I'm only little, right? I'm like 15, so I've had half a bottle of White Lightning, I've had a couple of pints of beer, you know, I've probably not had very much to eat. The bands start up and we go through, and I would come back in and I would come back out, and at this point the boy that I was with, he rejoins us, right? So he is there, but he's not very happy and he's been crying, right? I feel awful. I feel so bad about this. I'm not saying his name on purpose. And so then we're all like jumping around, and you know, and there was like somebody with a joint and stuff like that, and I didn't smoke at the time. I did end up smoking, but at that time, and somebody had a cigarette, or he had a cigarette or whatever, and he's like, do you want twos in the cigarette? And as soon as I took a puff from the cigarette, you know how sometimes when you're like, I've never, you know, the nicotine hit me, and
dizzy.
also the pints and the cider. And at this point, Dodgy have come on stage and everybody's going nuts and the whole place is rocking, everybody's jumping up and down. I take a draw off this cigarette and like the whole world just starts to spin. And I start to feel really sick and I throw up all over myself, right? And then I passed out, right? But I'm in the middle of this like jumping load of teenagers, right? And so like they lifted me up. And they passed me over the top,
where they
right?
put you to this,
where they put me, so they're passing me over. So I'm unconscious. Yeah. They're passing me over the top, right? And as I start to kind of come to again from this, taking this whitey, and as they pull me over onto so they had to pull me over the stage, right? So the stage is right in front of me. I'm over the top of the barrier. The security guards have got me and they've just put me right side foremost again. And I vomit again, because I've gone from being lying down up the right way again. So the room spins and I throw up again all over myself. And at that point, the lead singer of Dodgy is right in front of me. So I grabbed his shoe, right? And I'm like, whoa, Dodgy.
This is amazing. This is amazing.
I'm holding on to his shoe. He's trying to kick me off. Do you know what I mean? He's like mid-way. Through a song, like calf, and I ended up. I get taken into the St Andrews ambulance.
Right,
you know, like you're St Andrews, and it turned out the woman who was doing the St Andrews ambulance, my mother has never forgiven me for this. She was a woman who'd gone to school with my mother, and my mother and her didn't get on, and of course she had to phone my mum to come and get me. And
got
of
your
course,
daughter
it
here.
was this woman that my mum hated, didn't like, or whatever. She's like, your daughter's here. She says she's had because you know, you would always like, I've had a bad can of soup. I had a can of tomato. Do I think that tomato soup was right? Like pure reeking of booze, you know. And my mum had to come and get me, and I remember like crying. And you know what? That boy, he came out and he came and he sat with me in the back of that ambulance. The boy that I'd like gone off and left him for, the boy from Port Glasgow, came nowhere near me, which is, you know, not a slight on him. I was covered in vomit. But the boy who'd given me the ticket, who I went to school with, came and sat with me in the back of the ambulance, and my mum, and he missed the whole concert, and my mum took him home, and I felt instantly ashamed of my behaviour, even at that age where you just don't give a shit about anybody else but yourself. I felt instantly ashamed, and I knew that he was a much, much better person than I was. And he'd missed the whole concert, and he'd come and sat with me, and I ditched him, and he was a lovely, lovely boy. And he still is. I mean, I've maybe seen him once or twice as an adult, but yeah.
Oh, well, a shout out to that lovely, lovely boy.
Yeah.
A lovely boy.
He was such a nice guy.
What a nice man. That's such a heartwarming end there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in a film where it's like the nice guy was the love of your life the whole time, and the bastard was just like
the Hugh Grant character was just still. So, yeah.
But what an epic story. I mean, people have got stories about being a bit mad with it when they're younger and doing something mad, but the fact that you were so drunk that you were grabbing onto dodgy shoe, man, this is amazing.
Like a twat.
I've seen a whole new side to you.
And you still believed, I still believed probably right up until my 30s that my mum just thought that I'd had a lot of bad cans of tomato soup in my teens,
But they always know.
They always knew. They always knew. I'm going straight up the stairs. I've had a wonderful night out. Thank you, Mother. Thank you, Father.
Do you know the one that I always think back to and just laugh? My mum's even said, she'd be like, were you smoking last night? If you just had a cigarette or something, if you'd smoked when I drank a lot when I was younger, your clothes would be stinking from smoking. You'd always go, oh no, my mate Callum was smoking, so it must have just been from that. It's pathetic. Just pathetic.
Oh, I always remember my uncle coming up behind me, my Uncle Brian, who I absolutely adore.
Sorry, that just sounded like a dodgy start to a story.
No. My Uncle Brian, who I absolutely adored, he's passed away now, but I absolutely loved him. And he was a heavy smoker himself. And I remember him coming up, catching me smoking down on the beach. And he came up behind me and he put he had a big grovelly voice. I loved him so much, and put his hand on the back of my shoulder, and he went, "That'll give you a nasty cough." Catching me smoking.
Oh, well, that's a nice way to sign off, I think, as well, with a little public health warning as well. Give you a nasty cough. Jay, the good thing about all these wonderful stories is it sounds like you've got so many more, and the intrigue I have about the two brothers means that we can get you back on the show to discuss some of these further stories as well. But thank you for sharing them, your dead flowers, with us. Have you anything in particular coming up that you'd like to plug?
Oh my goodness, have I anything in particular? No, I'm not doing the Edinburgh Fringe this year. I'm having the year off. I'm not writing a new show, but I will be about. I'll be at the Stand in Best of Scottish, and I will be at the Gilded Balloon doing Leighton Live. I'm one of the main hosts of Leighton Live again this year, which is always a joy. And yeah, I might have the chance to, because I usually do like 110 gigs during August, so I might actually have the chance to go and see some shows and maybe, to have more embarrassing situations I can come and talk about.
Well, thank you very much, Jay, and thank you very much to our listeners, our viewers. Thank you very much in particular to our patrons that have signed up to support the podcast on Patreon. Please consider doing it if you're a fan of the show. It really does help. Big thanks to Sean here, that you often hear but never see, Chris Thorburn, the Stand Comedy Club, and our sponsor, continue to be sponsored by Derek Gerard Photography, a good guy and a tremendous photographer. Thanks very much. We'll see you next time. Cheers.